Good evening. It's 7:10 PM, August 21st, 2019, at Norfolk Town Hall, Room 124. Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I'd like to remind everybody this meeting is being audio and video recorded per the open meeting laws, Massachusetts. At 7 o'clock, we had 4 and 6 Hill Street, a special permit. We received correspondence from the attorney for 4 and 6 Hill Street, Attorney Edward Cannon, that the applicant has withdrawn without, or would like to withdraw without prejudice, his application before the Zoning Board of Appeals. He is going for site plan approval through the planning board and does not feel at this time he needs to do a special permit through the zoning board. So could I have a motion to withdraw without prejudice the application for 4 and 6 Hill Street?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Don, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 7:10 PM. We have the 6 Hill Street appeal by Ag Quaglieri. He has, via email, asked the administrator if he could continue that public hearing. Again, he is appealing the F11, so he would like to keep that open until the 4 and 6 Hill Street Planning Board work is completed. So he has asked for continuance till September 18th at 7 o'clock. So could I have a motion to continue the 6 Hill Street appeal till 7 o'clock on September 18th?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just want to check with Amy, do we have anything else scheduled at 7?
No, at 7:15, we have 94 Main Street.
Excellent. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. It
Yes.
is,
No, well, I second it. Oh, yes, I made it.
okay, it is 7:12, so we have about 3 minutes before we can continue the public hearing for 15 Brighty Lane. So maybe during that 3 minutes, why don't we look at the minutes from August 7th? See if we can get those out of the way.
Is that the only ones we have tonight?
That's the only minutes we have, is
Okay.
August 7th.
Mr. Sebastian.
Right.
It's a, yeah.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Motion to accept the minutes of August 7th, 2019, August 7th, 2019? Sorry.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Amy, on page 404, second paragraph, where it says Mr. Howe, why the project was to be age restricted, we should have Mr. Howe asked why the project should be age restricted.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Any other discussion?
So as amended?
As amended. Well, we haven't got to that point.
Okay.
We're still in discussion.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. So we have an amended motion with the correction on page 404. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thanks, Amy. Okay, it is 7:15, and we will continue the public hearing for 15 Brighty Lane for the special permit. We had a site walk last night that Mr. Hanson and Mr. Sebastiano attended, and myself, and we, the project manager and the owner, they showed us the property, the setbacks, the location of the solar panels, and we had one abutter. I think the folks who live at 13 Brighty Lane were there as well. So would you like to continue?
Yep, so I'm Stefan Rossellini from Boston Solar. I think the mic's on.
You're on.
Yeah,
You're good.
you're on.
You're good. You're good.
Just speak up.
All right, so as you mentioned, we had the site walkthrough yesterday. I believe you'd agree it was confirmed that the 13 Bridie Lane abutters were the only ones that have a line of sight to the array. We didn't see any other possibilities of, it being seen by any of the other abutters. So we did draft an updated site plan just to add some measurements. It's up there, kind of a little bit hard to see, but we added some measurements, and we also, at the request of the zoning board, added a section where we would potentially have trees for screening purposes from the array for the view from 13 Bridie Lane. We don't feel it should be necessary, partially due to the orientation of the array. It's kind of, the least amount of visual impact just because it's being seen from the side rather than, full frontage on there. It's also partially screened by a tree that's existing. It's not an evergreen tree, but it is partially screening at the highest point of where the array would be. And also, there was a concern that was brought to us by the homeowners that that area was actually previously completely screened, but during the development process of that lot, the developer removed trees which were actually on the property for 15 Bridie Lane. So if they hadn't done that, then it would have been completely screened and there would be no issue. So we would also ask that that be considered when factoring in whether there are any requirements to that end.
Okay. Amy, can you blow that up a little bit at all, so we can see where the solar array is going? Not the house, but the solar array. Okay, now bring it down a little bit. And over a little bit to the right. Beautiful. Okay. Questions from the board? I know Mike and Devin didn't have a chance to see it, but,
I like that the shed is being shown off the driveway.
yep,
That's more correct than what we have.
right, we have in the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. That's good.
Mr. Chairman, for those members who did attend the site walk, what were your impressions? What were your thoughts?
I think, it is relatively well screened from the rest of the neighborhood because it's a deep property. I mean, the one abutter is here tonight who has any line of sight to this.
Yeah, there's no other abutters that can see this solar array other than the people who live at 13 Bridie Lane. It's well hidden to the left side of their property, beyond their shed. And it's actually, I think it's what, 38, yeah, it's 38 by 17, so it's actually a rather small solar array. And at the front side, closest to the shed, is gonna be 3 feet off the ground, and then up in a triangular to 12 feet at the furthest point.
That's correct, yep.
Yeah, so the part facing the northern side will be 12 feet, the part close to the southern side will be 3 feet.
And my understanding is the building department takes care of any other concerns that we don't necessarily.
Building and electrical department
Right.
will take care of any
Right.
fencing or safety concerns with
Right.
regard to shut-offs.
Agree.
Yeah. Devin, do you have some questions?
I just want to make sure I understand this properly. So,
You speak a little louder so that.
sure. So, I just want to make sure that I understand this properly. So, you said the developer of, was it 13 Bridie Lane?
That's correct, yep. There was a concern of the homeowners that, so that area, we did give some pictures, that area was basically completely, filled with trees, and there were, I would say, majority of the trees removed during the development process of the lot, and there is a question of whether the trees, some of the trees that were removed were on the lot for 15 or the lot for 13, and those trees in particular would have screened any view from 13 to 15 of the solar array.
picture.
In my opinion, I think if that's true, I think we should consider that for whether or not we require screening
Okay.
to 13 Brady Lane.
There's a,
One at a time. What do we got?
I'm having, I scanned them in, but we have a new scanner, and it looks like it was not connected to this computer.
Okay.
there's a picture that was passed out at the last meeting.
I would have those.
Yes, and that shows the
The
new
house.
house
Right.
looking out or looking from where the array would be to the new house.
Those are the colored ones. You guys all have black and white, those are colors you want to pass.
Can you bring up that picture, Amy?
Yeah, it's a ground level picture.
Oh, yeah. So which,
I don't care about that one.
do you know which picture it was in?
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Here we go.
There you go. There's the nectarine tree, and the solar panel is going to be forward of the nectarine tree.
So Devin, in doing our walk yesterday,
Yeah,
all right, so if you take a look at that, you called it a nectarine tree?
It is, confirmed by the owner.
I thought it was a pear tree.
I did too until I took the nectarine home and dissected it, and they were truly correct, it was a nectarine.
If you look at that picture, you'll see there's quite a bit of deciduous coverage right there, except if you look directly behind that tree, there's a area of about 20 feet, which I believe the applicant identified as potential need for some evergreen coverage. Because, as you can see, it's open right now. Are you looking?
no,
Looking at me.
I'm looking at you, but I know, I already looked at the photo.
Gotcha, okay. And so, I feel that not just for the abutter, but for potentially future abutters, that it's reasonable to ask the applicant to put some evergreen coverage in that little area there to support the, just the aesthetics of the neighborhood.
But if I understand correctly, that location there is where a developer on the other property may have cleared trees on the property for the solar panels.
Yeah.
So my question is if the developer of 13 Bridie Lane removed the screening to 15 Bridie Lane, why should 15 Bridie Lane add screening to 13?
And
To-
that's
That's an excellent
And that's an
question.
excellent question that we'll take up during deliberations.
But from my perspective, all right, since that we now have new owners of 13 Bridie Lane, I don't see how the board can adjudicate a decision that would require the owners to claw back to their own developer on something that the applicant is applying for. So I don't know how you can tie one to the other.
We'll discuss it, yeah. We'll discuss it.
So,
Any other concerns on?
No, I understand this.
Yeah, okay. Joe?
oh, fine.
Don, anything else?
No, I think that the array looks great.
I know we have the abutters here from 13. Do you want to grab a mic? Do you have anything to?
So, yeah, I mean, we basically have the same concerns. We want energy, we want solar panels, we want, our neighbors to certainly explore that option. But we are concerned with sitting in our backyard, looking out our kitchen window, and all we see is solar panels. Having those evergreen trees, we think, would solve that problem if they're 4 seasons and they do block that area, whether it's a large fence or evergreen trees. We do understand their point that the people who constructed it may have taken the trees that were on their property that would have blocked it that are no longer there. Unfortunately, we weren't involved in the construction process. We purchased this house in May after construction was over. So we had no part in this, and we didn't know the solar panels were going to be built. So we want them to be built, we just don't want to be looking at them when we're in our backyard or cooking at our kitchen table or eating our meals and stuff like that. So that's kind of our piece. As I said, we all believe in all the energy and understand their concerns. We just have our concerns as well. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Do the owners have any, would you like to add anything? Mr. Dean?
You know, just to the fact that, you know, that you raised is that, you know, we actually came down here when the builder was tearing down. He did some significant damage to that lot. I mean, he literally took out a hill, and then we came down concerned about all sorts of, you know, erosion problems. And he took down trees in our side yard, never mind our backyard. My wife stopped them. And we came down here. Actually, I may even talk to Amy. You know, we put a formal complaint in that this guy is ripping down trees on our own yard. Never mind the setback in the do not disturb area. He came into our property. So if anybody's going to pay for trees, it should be the guy that took them out illegally, not us. I mean, we've already lost trees that we're tree lovers. Okay, you guys came to the yard yesterday. We have trees everywhere. You know, we have no problem about trees going up. I just don't think it's fair that we should have to pay for trees that somebody else took down that shouldn't have taken them down. That's my only concern. It's utmost important to get along with our neighbors. Okay, and I believe that. But I just think from a fairness point of view, the person that did the actual damage is the one that actually should be penalized, and not my new neighbors and not us, because we're both. I don't know if the town, can actually go after the builder for not applying the rules of the setbacks and the do not disturb areas, because he clearly did. We provided you pictures showing the before and after, and you can see it right up to the property line, and some areas beyond it, and like even on the side yard, literally took down one of our trees. They just literally mowed it down. When we went home one day, we came back and the tree was just
Amy,
level.
do you recall who he reported? Did he speak to you, or did you talk to the building department? Did you file a complaint?
We came into the building department to find out if we could stop them, and they did send out somebody to look at the property, but we didn't do anything that was like formally, coming back. We did come in here, we did say, come on. I was really concerned about the erosion, because there's a cliff on the side of the house now, because they just gutted like 15 feet of dirt. There used to be a hill. And, I was discussing with them yesterday. I said, I'm surprised you're not getting water, because I actually went into that house, probably about 6 months ago. You could see all the severe erosion, because they cut out this big hole, and then they just put wood chips over it, like, this is going to stop it. So I feel bad for 11, never mind, 13. It's 13. Actually, 11 is going to start losing his yard. So this guy did a lot of things I thought were wrong. But, so we...
The problem is he's gone, and...
Well, he still lives in the town, but
Yeah, but there's no, the
lives
properties
on
are
Merrick
sold.
Road, right.
The properties are sold. It's hard for us to enforce anything at this point. It should have been a formal complaint to the building department at that point, and probably resolved.
Well,
based on the
we
plan.
even had the police come down. So when we did make a formal complaint, when they actually started driving over our lawn and tearing up, we did put in some formal complaints as well.
Yeah.
The whole construction process was painful. Actually, their driveway, and I'm not going to really complain about, their driveway is actually on our property. It's literally about a foot and a half at the end, right? And it's not a big deal. I don't care about it. I'm not going to drive any issues with that. But this guy pushed the limits of where he should have gone, right? And that's my concern. So, okay. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? No? Okay. Anything else from the board?
I just have one question. If we did require some screening, do you know if your neighbor would help pay for the screening? It's going to benefit your neighbor, going to benefit you? Have you talked with your neighbor about splitting the cost?
I think it's going to, they took down some, again, if you got the pictures there, there was significant evergreens there. If you put in, some relatively small pine trees, it's going to help a little bit, but, they removed trees that were 50 years old, and, that's significant blockages. It will certainly help, but, it's not going to be a cure. The damage is done, and I understand what you're saying about, putting them in, but what's the trees that I put up there? Yes, you can just.
Arborvitae.
It is, I mean, it's.
They won't be there
It's
very
big
long.
blockage for about a month.
You can protect them. I mean, have you guys spoken at all about maybe splitting the cost of trees? Would that be a
I met
viable?
them for the first time that side.
I know, but they're right behind you. Yeah, we could talk, do you,
I mentioned to them yesterday, they wanted to put trees right up on the property line, I absolutely have no problem with that, because, you know, we've got plenty of land, we're on 4.5 acres, and they're on 3/4 of an acre. So, you know, I said, there's not gonna be any issues, just, you know, putting things right up the property line. I mean, putting in some pine trees is not the problem, we have a bunch of them, you know, in our yard that we can probably
Yeah.
transplant. But
no, I'm just saying, are you guys willing to work the cost out together, or?
I mean, we're both on social security, and we're now raising our grandkids, so financial wise, one of the reasons we're going with the solar rate is it actually generates about $400 a month. So we're actually doing this to help us with financial help at this point.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have no idea, you know, she just planted about 10, 12 small trees, you know, it takes a long time for those. So I don't know how big of trees you're talking about, but, you know, I mean, their kitchen's 2 floors, not even first floor kitchen. You know, but I mean, you know, we're flexible, you can see it
Okay.
also solar can help as well. I can fully understand, you know, they actually didn't buy, they just weren't made aware. We actually bought the system in March, long before they bought it. We applied for the first inspection, first permit, I believe it was in May, before they bought their property. So it wasn't like we were trying to sneak anything in.
Yeah.
It's just going very slowly.
All right.
We were already in
Okay.
back in June.
Are you folks willing to work with them a little bit, maybe on cost, if it's reasonable?
I mean, we're not looking to spend money, I mean, we just moved in and just bought a brand new house. And all these costs for a brand new house, we're not looking to spend money on trees and decorate the backyard and fences and stuff like that, you know, so.
Okay.
I mean, we're willing to be flexible, you know, $100 here, but as I said, trees are a lot more than that.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, we got 2 flexible parties, so that's good. We might be able to get to that
We
somewhere.
get the town to put a tree in.
Well, the town, we wish the town could, but we can't. We can't. You can talk to the building department, because they're the ones who signed off on all the permits. Maybe they will help you, right?
Maybe just replace one of the trees.
We can probably say that, though,
You
right?
can't-
All right, any other,
But you can't underestimate replanting a couple pine trees in that area too. They do take off pretty
The
quickly.
area's already starting to fill in.
Right, that's what I'm saying, a couple pine trees there could take off very quickly.
well, we won't, we can decide this during deliberation if we
right.
want.
I mean,
but-
we can certainly put some
Yep.
small trees
One
in
last
there.
Right, yeah.
Got one last
It
question.
should take off.
Okay.
I have a question too.
Wait a minute now. Nobody had questions, everybody has questions. Devin, go ahead.
I'll try and make this my final question. How did you try and make the determination whether or not he was on your property? Just,
We had plot plan, yeah, we did, and the property would have already been surveyed.
so was there like a
So we were
stake?
watching- In other words, they have a buried in ground propane tank, that's probably was 15 feet of the front. You know, we were a little concerned with what they would do. That's when they took down a lot of trees, when they put that in. But they came and cleared a lot, and they came and cleared it again.
No, I
That-
just,
That was the time we came back in.
I just mean having like a plot plan on paper versus, trying to be in the field
We
and,
do, we have it, we've had it all along, we have, you know, plot plans from the town, before the house was built, when the house, that property was actually owned by Boomer, who we bought the house, he was dead when we bought the house, but, he's Italian, I'm sure you guys know of him. And he subdivided that, matter of fact, that lot wasn't even a legally buildable size lot, because we had a state lot, which is 4.6 acres or whatever. They took 27 feet of our frontage and gave it to this lot so they could now be buildable. So they kind of did some last minute games to boom and sell that property. We were actually going to buy that property, I think it was selling for $180,000, $190,000. And I still have the income coming in, so we were actually going to pick it up, but it's a lot of money just to keep.
Now, you should be quiet. A minute ago, you were telling me you were on Social Security, now you're buying lots for 190,000. Shh! You should be quiet. You were doing better before.
just what I mean is, you have a piece of paper and it shows you the meets and bounds. I'm just trying to understand how you made that
We
determination.
went and got that when we put the shed up, because we knew we had to keep the shed within a 25-foot setback. So we went and got plot plans of all the properties that could be affected, including that one, and that was even before the house was built. So we got the initial drawing then, and then once the survey went in, and the builder paid for the survey, we didn't, we came to the town again and got an updated survey showing the house, the lot, where it's going, and where it has to be, and all the setbacks, we defined them. exactly where we had stakes showing everything, where everything was, we had plot plans showing everything.
Okay, so my real question was just whether or not there was like any stakes showing where that property line was, so like, you knew where that was in relation to where the
Yeah,
trees were.
That's why we came down.
Okay, all right.
I mean, one of the trees on the side of between our two driveways now was a property marker, and they just took that down. I mean, it was our tree. We came home, went to lunch, came home, and they ran it over with some big machine on the flat.
Okay.
So, Patty gets pictures of that, and showing how damaged they are. They weren't really nice. And we were nice, sometimes like plowing their driveways for them and stuff until they could get it out. So I mean, I was trying to be as nice as I could even to the builder. So we didn't try to make it. When they started tearing up that lawn, though, that's when we got a little more. But yes, we do, to answer your question specifically, clearly marked where the marks were in the town, and they clearly were. You were at the meeting at the house yesterday. You can see the stake right smack in the middle, and there were big pine trees.
Okay.
Right? They took them out, and they were big pine trees. These were 40, 50-foot trees. Nobody's gonna put those in. Unless you want to tear up two houses trying to do it.
Okay,
All set.
John?
I guess a question and a follow-up. If as sympathetic as I am to your plight, I'm equally sympathetic to the fact that you are the applicant looking to do this, okay? And I guess my question is, if this board were to request that you put, let's say, 2 8-foot arborvitaes, and I know deer eat arborvitaes, but they only eat the bottoms.
That's not an issue.
Okay.
Okay, 2 8-foot
But, in other words, let's say, something like a $500 or $600 outlay, would that be an undue burden for you?
No, I'd make Boston sold. I'm kidding.
All right. And the second question is if we did that, you still, of course, have an avenue in small claims court to show those pictures and recoup whatever the cost was to do that.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? All right, do I have a motion to close the public hearing for 15 Bridie Lane?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay. We probably will try to deliberate this tonight after our other hearings. Yes, didn't I ask for the vote? already?
for a second.
Ask for a second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
I could still discuss it with them, now we're gonna try to deliberate it before we do that. We will try to deliberate this tonight after our other hearings, and you can check with Amy tomorrow. We'll tell you where you're going. Okay? Thank you. All right, it's 7:41. We are now going to, Joe, would you mind reading into the record the notice of public hearing for 39 Mirror Lake?
Give me 1 second. All right, notice hereby given in accordance with Chapter 48 of the Massachusetts General Laws and any and all amendments thereto, that a public hearing will be held by the zoning board of appeals in room 124 at the Norfolk Municipal Building on Wednesday, August 21st, 2019, for the following application. Tim Gorman at 7:30 PM for the special permit pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, Section 9 as amended, and Section F4A of the Norfolk zoning bylaws to allow the alteration or enlargement of an existing non-conforming structure which does violate the setback coverage or height requirements of Section E1B, but does not violate those requirements to a greater extent than the original structure. The property is located at 39 Mirror Lake Avenue, Assessors Map 12, Block 64, Lot 10, in the R3 zoning district.
Thank you, Joe. Who's going to be presenting? Come on up. Yep, sure, whatever's comfortable for you. Grab a mic. Make sure you got a green light.
All right. So I think you guys have it, but all the pictures, so essentially it's an existing house, existing decks, and we're looking to replace them. We've done improvements in and out, all on the roof, all on the siding, and I had the permit in for the deck. We had a couple structural issues that we were going back and forth on, and then on the last go-round was when Bill said it's actually, because of the size of the lot and the setbacks, that it needs to be a special permit.
Correct.
So that's when we started the process on this.
Do we have this?
You don't have it in your package.
I think he just brought it in today, right? Rob just brought it in today.
Yeah, but he said it was for conservation, so it's in the conservation file.
Because we're also going through conservation for the septic and
Okay.
decks, I guess, as well. So I can,
Yeah, that would be
that's
great.
the existing pictures of when they purchased the home. You can see the deck, that deck, and you can't see the back deck just because of the picture.
Amy, do you have this anywhere? This, or
Not
just for the
on-
members who don't have it?
Not on this drive, no, but, they've got some extra copies, yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh, you got some? Okay.
Do you want the 11 by 17s? That's what I was wondering, that's what I was asking. You want the 11 by 17 of that plan?
Yes. Yeah, why don't you get one of those?
I have one here as well.
Which plan would you say?
The plot plan?
Can you show?
Oops. Yeah.
Okay.
That would have been what was
Yeah,
submitted in that
conditions go
package.
Okay, so this is,
That is-
so that's
That's what
for
that
the
is,
rear
yep.
deck, and this must be the cantilever deck.
That's a top cantilever deck,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Yep.
Okay,
And that plan that is on the screen is the plot plan here.
yep.
And then, per our discussion, what I did was I went and scaled back the actual setbacks.
I'm gonna have you, do you have those written on there now?
I do, yep.
Okay, so can we see those?
Yep.
So Amy, we're actually gonna take this if we can.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll take this into the record.
Are those 2x8s? 2x10?
Those are actually 2x8 KD that was built with the original deck. They're the full distance. So I brought in, we have a structural engineer with all the cantilever, the PT, first and second floor. I went back and forth on the actual structural application with the building quite a bit. Yeah, so I basically did the stairs,
Yep.
the deck, the cantilever deck here, and then the deck on this side.
Which is 9, and this is that 5?
That's 5, because it's a 4-foot cantilever, yep.
Was this a house that we approved something a couple of years ago?
You have something here.
Right.
You get the special permit.
Oh, it's possible, I don't, the gentleman that I'm working for has only owned it since, I think, March 8th, or beginning of March.
Scale.
It's 2016.
But I think we should
We didn't have this.
condition that it be verified by
Part
the
of the
building.
package I got.
I was also gonna read through all these.
Yeah.
You approved the special permit?
Yeah, I remember this, yeah. Here, hold on, Leland, Populatic, Hill, special per, where, Populatic,
Do you want to just take one and pass it around?
sure. Did you just get that now?
It was, she might need to be in the package for reading the thing.
Oh, for reading it, okay. Okay.
Want to take a look at this?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'll give it to you right back.
I think you got some 11 by 17s for everybody if they wanted.
Thank you.
Well, what did we approve?
Take a look.
This is,
That's just a copy of the plot
yep,
plan that you
well, we have
there.
already, okay.
Oh, this is all Populatic,
Sorry.
not Mirror Lake.
I mean, it's
No.
sorry.
Did we approve this a couple of years ago to do what they've done so far? Didn't we?
I don't recall that.
I don't make you wrong there.
If it would have been with the previous owner, but when
Yeah.
I went to the building department, I don't think that he didn't mention that there was a special permit at the time.
I don't think it's this one.
No, it's
I know,
okay.
I
It would have been
don't think it's this one,
back
John.
then, too. It wasn't at my time.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think it's this one.
Oh, yeah, it was a while ago, okay.
Okay. Okay, so on the plan, the full-scale plan, you've noted the property line setback. We'll probably ask those to be verified
Yep.
in the field by the building inspector as a condition.
Yep.
When we get to that point.
Okay.
Just to verify what, so it isn't removed, they're still there right now, right? The existing deck?
So the cantilever's still there.
And so
That
is-
side deck is not still there. The whole side of the house was rotted, so
So that deck is now
this deck
gone?
is not there right now, and it wasn't on existing footings. So the whole ledger of that was all rotted. So we actually took that down. But we could do an as-built at the end, or, so this was, I know this was the original one that I passed in, right, was the mortgage plot plan. You see
but
the
those
cantilever
are-
and stuff.
those are-
So that's when we went to this one,
Yeah.
which I piggybacked on top of the septic that was already being done.
When was this done? This,
Within the last
I couldn't see.
2-3 months. I think.
6/21? Okay.
Is this the deck right here that you say was all rotted?
Correct.
Yeah, but that's,
Yep.
Gotcha,
we can use that as the
Now
data.
now I'm following you.
It's not-
Yeah, so
And
it's-
what,
coincidentally, so if you can see, like, that's our new deck, same footprint.
yep,
When I went to the building department,
Not a
this was
standard
what they had
Hmm?
as,
But it's not a standard.
those are the
existing
drawings when they
conditions
built
plan.
whatever they built, but
No,
that
it
was
isn't,
that's the deck there, see how they have it.
Okay.
kind of skewed, because this room
little
is skewed.
frustrating.
See how that's drawn that
So
way?
basically,
That
this is-
actually is
he's looking
skewed
for
like
relief
that.
from F4A.
So,
If he can
it's the
do
same
this,
exact footprint, we didn't
and
change
it's-
anything.
I guess
He's basically doing exactly the same size. The only question is, we don't know
questioning
what
why
those dimensions
you're
were,
coming
other than
before
what
this
he's got on
board.
this plan, which is,
So,
it's,
I put in the application through the building department.
Yeah.
We have a permit for the roof and the siding already, we have the inside stuff.
I don't either.
And I was working
not-
through this.
it should have been
I had to
left
get
to make sure
structural,
someone got the
we
exact
had to
measurement.
change the footings to these helicoil footings and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then on
So
the
he's
last
not violating
go-around,
anything.
it
The only
the
was
greater.
concern is if if you
rejected
make-
for
this is the existing
needing
deck,
a special
and this
permit
is
for
actually bigger
zoning
than
board of
what the
appeals.
existing deck was. We don't know
because I
that.
think it was non-conforming,
This is our only proof that there was. a
existing but
deck.
non-conforming.
And this is, as Devin
But
pointed out,
is the deck
not an
any
existing
bigger
condition.
than the
It
deck
doesn't say
that
existing
was there?
condition, so
Everything is
we don't know
exactly
what
the
it
same
is.
size.
I mean,
You also,
Does
it says
he know
stairs,
that?
but I guess that might have been the stairs. but
does
I
he know
don't-
that?
You know, was there stairs? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
this doesn't look like there were stairs.
Yes, there
here.
was, yep.
Stairs to,
Yeah, this was when he built the house, this is what it was. And this is the deck, stairs running just the same way back.
okay, so there, this is open and this goes down this way,
Yes,
and that's my stairs.
back towards the front of the house,
Yes,
exactly.
okay, I'm with you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
But based on just what he just said and looking at the pictures, I'm questioning as to why he's coming before this board.
Because it's a non-conforming lot. So even though he doesn't violate the E1B, it still requires special permit.
Would he be just replacing what's there? now?
Yes,
So
yes.
if you're replacing what's there now, not
even,
changing
still
any-
requires special permit because it's a non-conforming lot.
Yeah, you looked it up in the book that
Yeah.
time when it
Yeah.
first came in.
Yep.
Okay.
Just fixing a board on your deck.
E1B, he's rebuilding.
Okay.
It's E1B,
Okay.
right? So it does require it.
and this deck is no longer here, right? You-
This, so the top cantilever is still there, which is this here. Well, you can see we haven't taken those
Yeah.
out yet, just because, really, from
right.
a building perspective, I wanted to build the lower one and then work off of it for the upper one.
All
But
right.
that's still there, but this other one, we had taken down after I put in for the permit application, and I was working through the structural to do the siding and replace the rotted sills. We took it down, because it's all new siding, all new roofing, which we were working on while we were getting the permits for the deck. I didn't find out that I had to come here until the last go-around, probably about a month ago.
Understand.
I'm having a concern with this right here. Okay? Because if I look at that there,
Yep,
there's a top plate, there's spigots, and there's a bottom plate. You're telling me there's a stairs there, but there's no stair right there. And that distance to me, unless I'm crazy, if those are 6 inches apart, that's 18 inches. Which tells me there's no
The deck
stair
that was
there.
had stairs.
So I'm now questioning the stairs, because now you would actually be making it more non-conforming,
No, I know that, but
because that doesn't look like there's a stair there. And the spigots are
Alteration.
usually 6 inches
If there's
apart,
no
4 inches apart.
alteration.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And there's my top plate. I originally, in your other picture, I sort of took it at face value because it looked as if I was looking through it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, but on this one, it does clearly show that there actually was a railing there.
But that's probably the same distance. That looks shorter, that looks bigger, huh?
That
You
looks
know
a
what I
lot
mean?
shorter, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you would actually be encroaching the setback
For
for your stairs.
because of the stairs. Okay.
Yeah. Devin caught that. He didn't want to say anything.
I don't know if the stairs are even that important.
Say again?
I was basing that on,
You'd be encroaching the
Basing
setback to a
that
greater
on-
extent,
this was,
which is not allowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
The stairs go a separate way, a different way, and the stairs go,
Yeah, I don't think you, no, you
no,
you
probably
basically,
not. If it's a matter of
Yeah.
coming this way, right?
yeah,
But if it's even, if we don't come out any further than the deck, we're not encroaching on any,
if you
sideways here,
cut it
though,
here,
right?
if the deck falls through to the point of the house, like that, if the deck falls the house,
oh, I get you.
the deck falls the house.
Yeah, right, but that's how it's shown on there, but that's actually not how. That's why it's drawn this way, I see what you're saying. Like this, which is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, this is
Right.
actually more
Yeah.
non-conforming.
But the way that the deck is existing, it probably sticks out 3 feet from the house there.
Yes.
So as long as we maintain that, like this deck is shown even with the house, but that existing deck was actually, like, say that, right?
Okay, but we need to see that.
Okay.
We need to see that. So,
Drawn and shown that way?
yes, I think you probably should go back and redraw this and then
Okay.
come back to us, I think.
As the same,
Yeah, and really see if you can find some markings so that we can verify it. Okay. I know, I get your point.
yeah, yeah.
I just don't know if you're out, I mean, we can't tell from
Essentially,
this.
essentially, you can't come any furder out than what it is like
Exactly,
here.
exactly.
I got you. Okay.
Exactly. And maybe, I'm sure there's something there that will help you delineate that. And maybe there's a, what do you call it, a vertical view, a sky view that you can maybe, that will help us too, to see where you are here.
Oh, like a Google map of the
Yeah,
actual thing?
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think,
because the way that it's shown is almost like the deck's even with the house, but actually in reality, it's not. It's out further. So as long as we don't go further outside than what it was originally.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to tell from your pictures.
Yeah, and-
But if the spigots are 4 inches, you're only 18, 4, 8, 12, maybe 14 inches. So, I mean, look, you got 1, 2, 3 spigots here, see, pickets.
Yep.
So, I mean, if they're 4 inches apart on center,
Yep, I follow what you're saying.
okay,
I see
but
what
you
you're
can,
saying.
you can take, is any of the existing decks still there on the ground or anything?
On the side deck now.
Nothing?
No,
No.
Did you approve the top, the other deck?
The cantilever deck?
Yeah, for the sake of getting some work done.
You'd end up having to do a separate application. I'd hate to make you do that. I think it'd be crazy. You'd be better off just coming back next meeting.
or
and
would
trying
you
to-
rather just keep the deck on the low, even with the house, not having
On the
stairs?
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, like, you know what I'm saying, like, say, just that, there's a patio door there, obviously, right?
Yeah,
So you come out of this room, but you don't have this.
right.
See, this is actually shown even with the house, when in reality it's probably like that, say 2 feet past or something, right? But if he just changed this to show even with no stairs,
Correct.
it wouldn't be any further than the outside of the
Yeah,
house.
we can condition that be no further than the
The
existing deck
existing house,
and the existing house.
yeah.
If you're willing to do that, then we can amend the application that way.
Or we can go back and redraw it, showing the
Or you can
stairs,
redraw and try to come up with a
not go no
better,
further.
determine exactly where you think the old deck went
Right.
and show us that. It's up to you. I mean, it's a
think I have
difference
a
for you,
sketch.
obviously, a big difference.
You guys know what you see?
I would hate to see you do this and find out that, you actually did have more room.
Right, right.
I mean, we can I'll put it on for the next meeting. I'll fit you in.
For a month, right?
No, our next one is,
7:31.
no,
I mean, 8:7.
it's 7,
I meant
9,
eight,
4,
nine,
9, 4.
nine,
So
four.
listen, 2.5 weeks.
Is there still then an appeal after that?
Yeah, I'll fit this in. I mean, it's worth fitting in for you.
What we need to bring or show you?
Hmm?
What do we need to bring to the next meeting?
Yeah, and if you get it done beforehand, give it to Amy and we'll look at it before then so we can go quickly.
Essentially, you see how the deck sticks out, the other one? This one's showing.
I think
Even with
we
the
need
stairs.
something more concrete.
Oh, yeah,
For-
they have to come up with a good plan.
Okay.
As better, a good plan as they can.
That'll actually give me time to have them give actual setbacks.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Why don't you do that? Yeah, I
Okay.
think that'd
Yep.
be
can do that.
worthwhile.
Because the deck obviously came out before.
And we can't tell what it is though,
Can't
but
tell.
we need to know that.
And then what that, we can't go farther
Yeah,
than that, right?
we have to have an idea how far it came out beyond the house so we can determine,
Yeah, we can do that.
okay? I think that might be a better way of you doing it,
Perfect.
okay?
That-
All right.
It's actually kind of, that's
Are you suggesting, Mr. Chairman, that there's a possibility they could still put a staircase in there?
Possibility, yes,
Maybe it's 24 inches wide or whatever instead of
exactly.
36.
But we
just-
need to know
We just
that,
can't really go past what, with the
Yeah.
original outline of that.
right, we need to
I
know
gotcha.
that,
That deck.
Yeah.
okay?
Perfect.
All right. So could I,
You can have anything you want. What would you like?
no, that's great, as long as you can do that. Amy, what do we have on for 7 o'clock on the 4th?
It's actually Abigail's,
Okay, good, so we're gonna put this on.
and then.
Yep, that's fine, because I know, so can I have a motion to continue the public hearing for 39 Mirror Lake till 7 o'clock on the 4th of September?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Chairperson, I'm just a little confused, okay?
Okay,
Is not in question of what we're specifically asked the applicant to do, but as it relates to, I'm looking at the rotted studs, and I'm also looking at the before and after pictures that I have here, which may not be everything, all right?
Yep.
But if the applicant who were to rebuild everything exactly as is, okay? And I'm looking at the F4A alteration and enlargement for non-conforming structures.
Okay.
And I'm of the impression that alteration or enlargements that do not violate setback coverage or height, so may be rebuilt, altered, or enlarged as a matter of right.
Okay.
Right? And if it violates setback, then it requires a special permit. But if in fact, and it talks about alteration or enlargement, and I guess as I look up the definition of alteration, it's change, adjustment, variation, modification. So my question is, if the applicant were to rebuild the deck exactly the way it was, as well as rebuilding the cantilever deck, which we see pictures of the 2x8s, why would the applicant have to come before this board?
Sorry. We've got F4.
We can have yours
All
back.
these out. We got E1B and F4B. If the alteration or enlargement of a non-conforming structure does violate the setback, coverage, or height requirements of E1B, but does not violate those requirements to a greater extent than the original structure, the structure may be rebuilt, altered, or enlarged only with a special permit issued by the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I understand.
Okay,
My question is specific. It does not, it says alteration.
yes,
That's the, we've used as definitions, okay? And I'm reading the definition of alteration, all right?
yeah,
And if you're replacing, if you're rebuilding exactly the way it was, are we saying that our zoning laws determine that that is an alteration? And I don't think that's the case.
well, it's an alteration, he's changing what's there,
No, done. If you just, the next page
yeah,
talks about demolition and reconstruction.
right, and it is demolition or reconstruction would be the next thing.
Okay?
But as you were discussing, I was reading that,
Yeah.
and then
It's basically, it could be, if the demolition of a non-conforming structure, he's demolishing a deck, he's rebuilding it. So therefore, it would require a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. And the reason being is just what we're going through. A stairway could be added, it would violate the setback requirements. So
But
that's why we do this.
No, I'm totally on board with all of that. I'm trying to get my arms around that, and then when you talked about demolition and reconstruction, you're also talking about restoration, if you look at F4C,
Yeah,
which says that nothing shall prevent the strengthening or restoring to a safe condition of any building or structure or part thereof declared unsafe by the building inspector.
okay.
Well, certainly that existing cantilever deck would have been determined unsafe by our building inspector.
Are you assuming that?
Well, I would, based
How
on
do
the
you know
fact- based on the rot that's
Yeah, but the rot you're seeing is, they've demolished it, so you can't use that. That would not be admissible in court, Mr. Hanson.
All right, well, okay.
That is pure hearsay, as they say in the legal community. But I think the applicant understands that if he can get that done in the next 2 weeks, if you want to get it to us early, we can certainly preview it, and then we can go forward, okay? We just want to make sure it's clear, okay? So we're not done yet, because we had a motion, we had a discussion, and as Mr. Police Constant reminds me, all those in favor?
Can I have further
Aye.
discussion?
You have one more comment?
I said, can I have a little bit further discussion?
Sure.
Oh, boy.
So, based off the plan, we've already, I think, established that what's shown on the plan may not have reflected what was actually existing out there. So, I think that there needs to be, I don't think this plan can be used for dimensions and setbacks to the property lines.
Okay.
So, the thing I'm trying to grapple is, how do we know what was existing out there before?
We have to, I think we have to leave that to the applicant, and I think they're gonna do their best to get
Okay.
it set.
All right.
Yeah. That's why I said if they can get it to us ahead of time, maybe with some conjunction with work with the building department, we can get through this.
I would assume that whomever did, the gentleman, Bill Gottwald, that did that plan when he was out there has built measurements that he
Yeah.
went out.
Just,
So,
you try to go off those, you know?
I'll reach out to him and obviously adjust it, but
Okay.
I would assume other than that, in the pictures, I can go back by the original sketch that I
Okay.
gave to the building department as part of the permit.
Yep.
You know, which had dimensions also. I don't know exactly what that dimension is.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I
Yeah.
can come up with the best answer I can.
Right. And the earlier you can get it to us so we can review it, I'll be, Amy, if you get in early, let me see it, we'll review it, and that way we don't run into this problem at the meeting,
So
okay?
the two things that would really be looking for would be a revised plan actually showing the deck coming out.
Right, what the existing, you know what's easier is show the existing decks as best you can, depict them
Yeah.
with measurements, and show the setbacks, and then show the new decks and what the proposed setbacks are.
Right, agree. I'll have him revise that and actually show setbacks on that plot plan.
Right, okay? And,
I just mean that setbacks on this plan really don't mean anything. We don't know where the property lines came from.
well, they can find out the property lines. I mean, I'm assuming they'll find those out.
Well,
He's gonna have a plot plan, that's.
Yeah.
that was all we did.
Registered engineer,
Yeah.
we hired,
We hired an engineer to do all that.
But an engineer can't certify lot lines.
must get that information from somewhere to put it on there, right?
Yeah. Well, are you saying they should have they should have a PE?
I'm not saying anything.
You-
All
you-
I'm saying is, this plan is not certified by a land surveyor who certifies lot lines. This plan's stamped by a registered professional engineer
Right.
who is not certified. It's not certified to certify lot lines.
What would be the easiest?
But we're not really, I guess, go back to the building department, see if you can find out what the plot looks like, if there's a certified plot plan out there. And then, obviously, in conjunction with that certified plot plan, and this, this plan from this engineer, see if you can pull it together.
We're
I think
really
you
trying
can.
We're really trying to not add anything to it.
Right.
We understand.
Existing,
We know it, we just gotta be careful, as you can tell. We have to be careful.
and there is a certain timing involved.
Yeah.
for buying and selling.
Well, that's why I'm trying to get you in the next 2 weeks. Yeah.
I do understand that, but we just, I think that
We gotta do
have
our
to
due
com-
diligence, and if we don't, shame on us, you know? You know, as you saw, we just had one in here where trees were cut down on the property, and two people are gonna be frustrated over it, but we have to. All right, any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Appreciate your patience. All right. Can we take a 3-minute break, and then we'll be back? Thank you. Okay. Welcome back to the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting on August 21st. It is now 8:13, and we're going to take up some deliberations. Let's start with 10 Populatic, the special permit. When we left off here, this was actually a renewal of a permit that was pre-existing that he let expire. And we ran into a little problem where I questioned the 24 by 24 garage in the rear of the property. I talked to the building inspector, and I also looked at the state code as well as some case study. And accessory buildings, an accessory building does not have issues with regard to nonconformity. You're allowed to have an accessory building on a nonconforming property. One, as long as in Norfolk, it's not in the front setback. And two is that in Norfolk, the height of the accessory building and the distance to the property line are the same. So in other words, it's the height of the building, not the mean height. The state law goes to the mean height, but Norfolk's bylaw says the height of the building. So if the height of the building is 18 feet,
it's mine.
the distance to the property line has to be 18 feet. So, but they are allowed to do an accessory building. So, as I think the only thing on this plan, which we can condition, and Devin, you can correct me, is I have a tough time reading what his distance is, but I think the condition would basically be that the height of the building the distance from the property line has to equal or be greater than the height of the building. Would you agree to that?
Say it one more time?
The distance from the property line to the building
Yeah.
has to be greater than or equal to the height of the building, the garage being proposed.
Yes.
Okay.
The garage has to be the height of the setback,
Yeah, at least.
at least.
At
yeah.
least. And, but the fact is, it is allowed. And I did confirm that with the building inspector, and I also looked at the state law to make sure see if there was any case study with regard to non-conforming lots. All right? Mm-hmm. Do we want to read into some of the, Amy, do we have a, in the package here, we don't have a full drawing. Do we have a, I think I have.
You mean,
No, I don't.
The 11 by
A
17?
larger drawing of that. Do we have one that we can refer to?
Is
So-
there one in the? you
There
have
isn't
in
one in here, no.
my whole folder.
There's not, it wouldn't be anywhere else if it's not in here.
No.
that what you're looking for? Is this what you're looking for?
Yeah. Thanks, Don. That was-
It's not in my folder?
No,
No, that was from that's the one I kept from last
Well,
meeting.
he's got my whole folder.
no, it's
Should be
not in
in there.
here. I don't see this one in here.
Okay.
Maybe it's just because it's not clear. I mean, it's hard to read, whereas
Can I
Don's
see?
is a little, go ahead. So he says 17.6.
Is the
So-
setback,
So the finding of fact would be that the garage to the left setback is going to be 17 feet, 8 inches, which means the height of the garage has to be no more than 17 feet, 6 inches. The setback, well, and the, okay. And again, it was an existing permit, special permit that expired, which I think Amy gave us in our
Yeah, we have it.
packages.
I have it.
You have that, you can reference that?
Does anybody want a picture of this?
I have Dawn's, so. There was discussion with regard to, he wanted to add a granite step, I think, to this one as well, correct? And we found out the bylaw is E2D, which says you can have a step 30 square feet, so roughly 5 by 6. So I think we'll condition it that he can have a step, and a landing, 30 square feet, in accordance to E2D.
E2D,
Okay? E2,
the projections. Yep.
right.
Is that to be interpreted 30 square feet, so if I did something that was 10 square feet and something else that was, let's say, from a step, and then something...
Total of 30 square feet. Plan view,
Gotcha. Yep.
right?
I don't want to jump in right now.
Huh?
You wait till the end?
Discuss in a few moments.
Okay. Well, these are finding of facts, so. All right, other findings of facts.
All right, I'm going to ask a question. Who is this plan stamped by? Is it, I assume this is stamped by a land surveyor now? I can't read the one on my screen here.
This one, again, looks like a civil. Professional engineer. But he's also given us existing conditions.
So I guess as long as the condition says what you had said before.
Yes.
You know, we don't limit
does.
it to a
Right.
specific number, then I think it's covered.
I think we're all right there. I would agree. Yep. So we've got the landing taken care of. He has it, we've got the setbacks. So the existing.
You've got the height of the garage figured out.
Yep, we got the height of the garage.
Are we gonna
The shed-
call
the
it,
sh-
call it a garage, or are we gonna call it an accessory?
No, it's a garage, and accessory buildings include garages, sheds. They actually have a definition of it at the state level.
Okay.
Okay, good question. Any other findings of facts?
The, is a finding of fact that the conservation approval was for 3 years and is still, Amy, you said they still have another year?
This was 2016, so I don't think they have a year. I think they only have a couple of months.
But is the conservation approval as granted in 2016 still in effect?
I believe it is for another month or so. I don't.
That would be, I think, a finding of fact.
Okay,
Because if it also expired, then we might have to wait till we get approval from the Concom.
well, we wouldn't, he would, we can approve, we can give them a special permit, but they won't get approval through a Concom.
Okay.
So, all right. And Joe, we'll put, do you have a copy of this plan?
I think I do from my last week. I don't have it with me tonight. but I'll
So,
take-
no,
I'll
we'll
take it.
just, maybe we'll just make sure we include one, the plan of
Do we
record
have it?
dated.
Did you email this to us?
Mm,
But just take mine.
Yeah, he can have this one. I'll sign this one.
Okay.
If you have, I gave it last week.
Yeah, I just don't have it. I must have.
We'll
looked
say
at
the
it.
plan of record of 2/2/16 would be the plan of record showing the existing setbacks.
216.
We'll show the existing setbacks.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. If I could take one of those with me tonight, it'd be cool.
Yeah. You have that?
Oh, I got it right here. I'm sorry.
You have it?
I have it.
Amy, I'll make sure.
That's my file copy, actually. Joe.
This one's your file? copy?
Yeah,
You sure?
Okay.
All
yeah,
right.
if you throw it back in the file,
Why
that'd be
don't,
good.
we'll make this one the file copy,
Okay.
because I've signed it. Okay? That's
You
yours.
put it right in the file?
Yep. Okay. All right, why don't we go through the special permit criteria? Yeah, is you,
Is that in the application? You
Yes.
did it? Okay.
yes.
All right. Did you email that to us also, or do we have that in our still?
Yeah, I email anything. to you.
Okay, okay.
What do you want, the application?
You-
No, I need this for when I fill out,
Yeah, he wants-
when I write this up.
uses this.
Here, this is what you want right here, right?
Yeah, yeah. I can bring that back tonight.
Use is in harmony with general
Okay, wants
purpose
to
and intent of the
notice public
bylaw.
hearing?
The applicant is
Thank you.
proposing to
Thank
bring
you,
the
sir.
existing structure up to current building code and make it safer to live in. The footprint of the existing structure to increase over screen, enclosed porch, and square foot left corner of house, and squaring the front left corner of house. The use is in the appropriate location, not detrimental to the neighborhood, and does not significantly alter the characters of the zoning district. The lot is in the residential zoning district, and the applicant is not changing the use. Adequate and appropriate facilities were provided for the proper operation. Current structure has sewer service and water service, and will utilize the existing services. No new services are proposed. The proposal would not be detrimental or offensive to the adjoining zoning districts and neighboring properties due to the effects of lighting, odor, smoke, noise, sewage, refuse, material, visual, other nuisances. All alteration and change in structure will be safely benefit and will be similar to existing houses in the neighborhood. The old structure will be remodeled into a new structure. And I think we'll use the common nomenclature with regard to lighting, right?
Yeah,
Especially
of
even
course.
for the,
You-
even
you
for the
throw the
garage.
conditioning, right,
Even
right.
for the garage.
Okay.
The proposed use would not cause any undue traffic conditions. The use is not changing and therefore will not alter existing traffic congestion in the immediate area. A proper site plan has been filed for approval with the planning board, and the proper number of copies submitted to the application of special permit to the zoning board of appeals. Plans have been submitted to the zoning board of appeals for review. The use and purpose is consistent with the 1992 master plan, and as most recently updated, the use proposed is consistent with the 1992 master plan and is not changing.
Did we ever find out, we referred to something like the 2007 version of the
Yes,
master
there,
plan.
it was, that's why they say, and most recently updated. This should be changed, actually.
Yeah.
The 92 is no longer.
Right.
It
Yeah,
was
but
updated.
We're changing all our regs and.
Are you? Okay.
application, too,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, got it.
All right. Further discussion? Kevin?
No further discussion.
No?
No.
You good?
Good.
Yeah? All right. Mike?
All set.
You want a motion?
No, any further
No.
discussion? You with us here?
I am with you. I have no further discussion.
Okay, John?
No discussion.
All right, can we have a motion? You want to make the motion, or you want me to make the motion?
To approve the special permit for 10 Populatic Road. I make a motion that we approve the special permit for 10 Populatic Road
Right, and the garage,
and the garage.
okay? And with, any conditions? With the condition that the height of the garage, right?
Yes, with the condition of the height of the garage will either be, will not be
Equal to or less
equal,
than the side setback?
correct,
Okay,
as so moved.
right, and lighting will be obviously on the property, including the
Right, we
garage.
just don't put that into the whole
Okay.
motion.
Well, we're working on you,
Okay.
helping you out
No,
here.
no, wait a minute, I'm doing this for actually 10 years.
You wouldn't know, would you? No. All right.
I'll
only
sec,
kidding.
I'll
You have a
second.
second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Actually, we need
Don't we, yes to
Do we need
grant?
a yes to vote, right, don't we? Okay, so,
Yes to
Yes.
grant.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
that's
to
right.
grant.
Yes to grant.
Yes to grant.
yes to grant. Okay. Very good, Amy. So we got through that one.
All right.
Little tough,
Amy reminded us.
little tough to get through that one.
35 Leland?
Joe, here is the folder.
Yeah.
All right, now we have
Okay.
35 Leland,
5 Leland, let's find
which was
this. Got it.
which Rick Boudreau presented to us.
So I didn't repass out all the information.
That's all right. And we have the large plan here, which we'll sign and put into the record, which shows the existing home and the proposed home, which is going to be rebuilt.
Okay.
And Rich was very considerate. He actually gave us on this plan, which, Joe, I'll make sure you get this. He
Okay.
gave us the required
Right.
setbacks, the existing setbacks, and
This
the
is new?
proposed setbacks.
This is new?
New being,
This is this first time we have this?
no, we had it last
Okay,
meeting,
okay,
Joe.
okay, all right, right, and he had the whole.
Joe, welcome to the zoning board of appeals. We're glad to have you aboard. How many years have you been doing that?
10 years.
Yes, he's given us the setback. So the setback required was 50, the existing's 31, the proposed will be 45, so it's greater than. The left setback requirement is 25, the existing was 12, the new is going to be 18, right's 25, existing is 60, he is reducing that down to 30, but it's still within our zoning bylaws. Rear setback 25, existing was 20, he's going to 27, because they're adding a deck on the rear of the new.
Right.
And obviously lot coverage is less than the 25% at 17.4%. So it's a proposed new house with a garage. Again, it is non-conforming, but it is less non-conforming than the existing home.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, this is the one that I was concerned that they get a Concon sign-off. As the distance from the existing house in the corner, in the left-hand side on the plan, was 30.6 inches, and now from the proposed deck, they show a distance to the waterfront as 27.2.
Right.
All right? And do we need that to be okay by Concom before we can grant this, or can we grant that subject to Concom's?
Concom will have to approve it prior to a building permit being issued, so we don't have to do anything.
It's currently in here in
Okay?
I mean, if we want, we can put subject to Concom review, but we don't have to because they will not get a building permit till the Concom signs off on it.
I'd like to add that.
Okay.
We usually don't subject it to,
Yeah,
I don't think we
we
can.
don't usually.
No, we
We
can't do
can't
that.
condition another board.
Yeah, we can't condition
Well, that's
another board.
right.
Yeah, we can't
We've
condition
had that
another
discussion.
board.
Never
So,
knew that.
that's why I said it's subject to review, not subject to approval. But we could say subject to review, I think, to give it a little bit of teeth, if you'd like that. I don't think that's a
No.
problem, subject to review.
We've never done that either, but, I mean,
We won't do it then.
I don't think we should.
If you're telling me Concom's looking at it,
Not anyway.
and-
What?
and they're aware of the difference, 27 versus the 30 feet?
Concom. So sorry, I don't.
What's the question?
I just want to make sure Concom's aware of it,
Yeah,
okay?
oh, I'm sure they are.
Janet's all over these.
I'm sure they are.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
They're
Fine.
pretty efficient over there at the Concom.
All right, so you have some of this, the facts on this, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So new home,
Right.
less non-conforming.
Yep.
A garage, a deck being added.
Yep.
We got
Got it.
those,
Yep,
okay?
yep.
Anything else to add to the finding of facts?
Nope.
All right, we'll go through the special permit criteria. The use is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the bylaws. The proposed house is located in a residential district and is an allowed use. The use is in appropriate location, is not detrimental to the neighborhood, and does not significantly alter the character of the zoning district. The proposed home is situated to increase the existing setback distances or meet the zoning setback requirements. Adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use. The proposed house will utilize existing septic system and will have new connections made to the town water system, and also will have connections made to utilities. I'm assuming that means electrical. The proposed use would not be detrimental or offensive to the adjoining zoning districts and neighboring properties due to the effects of lighting, odor, smoke, noise, sewage, refuge, visual or other nuisances. The properties will not be detrimental or offensive to the adjoining zoning districts and neighborhood. Proposed use would not cause undue traffic congestion in the immediate area. No increase in traffic is anticipated and will cause undue traffic congestion. A proper site plan has been filed for approval with the planning board, and the proper number of copies with the application for a special permit to the Board of Appeals. The site plan has been filed with the zoning board of appeals, which we have, and the use is in harmony with the 1992 master plan. As most recently updated, the uses, property is allowed in the zoning district. The new home will provide the town with additional tax revenue. Okay. Any other discussion? No. Anything else? Okay, do we have a motion to grant the special permit for 39 Leland Road?
I make a motion to grant special permit for 35
35.
Leland Road, Accessors Map 4, Block 11, Lot 33, in the R2 zoning district as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, Don, a motion to grant the special permit.
Yes to grant.
Joe?
Yes, to grant.
Yes to grant.
Yes to grant.
Yes to grant.
Okay, very good. All right. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, that's it.
It's two.
I know you all of them, I just need that one.
Okay. Now, it is 8:30. Would the board like to take up 15 Bridie Lane?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get to it. 15 Bridie Lane, okay. Finding of facts. We have a solar array going in, a ground solar array. It is going to be, what, 17 by 35? I think is what he showed us in his drawing. Amy, do you have a copy of that drawing? Or can you print out a copy for Joe for the file for that drawing that they had up there showing the setbacks?
Yeah.
Okay, we should just have that, but I think it was 13 by
Is that
75,
considered the official
35.
plan? The official plan?
That's the official plan for
Okay.
this, yeah. The height of it will be 12 feet at the northern side, 3 feet at the southern side.
Mm-hmm.
There was one abutter present.
Yeah. You have to acknowledge that we did a site walk?
Yes. Sidewalk was done on the 20th.
We have no particular setback requirements or something like that?
We do not have a
Right,
set, nope,
right,
no
right.
setback requirements.
So the only thing we can do is do a condition here?
Right.
Okay.
Will the finding of fact be that it was not roof mounted because it's an east to west roof? So they had to have a ground array to.
Ground array was chosen because they did not want to,
Yeah,
due to the cost of re-roofing,
Right, yeah, because
due to the cost of re-roofing, and did not want it on their roof, okay. And it was a survey was done to determine the optimum
Yeah.
place for this on their property, which they did, which is where they're placing it.
Understood.
There is one tree, which the owners felt was adequate to block the solar array, a nectarine tree.
Mhm.
That's a finding of fact, because they did mention it.
The finding of fact be that the owner and the representative from Boston Solar said that the developer of 13 Bridie Lane cleared the trees where evergreen trees were proposed on the plan.
It appears as if I go further, is that it appears that the owner has stated that the 25-foot no disturbance buffer zone had been altered by the developer of Lot 11A.
Is that something that's supposedly established when the developer was supposed to do his work? Meaning the developer was, when the developer was developing 13 Bridie, was that a zone he should never have touched?
That's what it appears to be.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have no,
Yeah,
we can't do anything about it.
right.
That would be the building department if at that time. But it clearly looks, I think, from the walkthrough that that area had been disturbed.
Absolutely.
Finding of fact would be based on the site walk. The only abutter who will have a line of sight are the direct abutters at 13 Bridie Lane.
13 Brady Lane, that'd be a finding of fact, yes.
Yep. That's a good one.
Would have, no, never mind, wouldn't be a finding of fact. That the applicant said that he would be willing to make place some evergreens. Would that be a
Well,
finding of fact,
that will
because he said?
become our condition, I think.
Right, okay, but it's not because he said that.
Yeah.
Doesn't-
Well, he said they're willing, they're both, the owner and the abutter are flexible.
He never said the owner was flexible.
Well, the owner said he was flexible, and so did the owner of 13 said they were flexible.
Until
That's all
it
he
came
said.
time to open up their wallets. They're flexible until it
Yeah.
came time to
Yep.
open up their wallets.
Right, well, they're flexible, that's a finding of fact, that won't be, that may not be
I
what we
didn't,
decide.
I didn't hear that the new owner was flexible, okay? I
He
just-
said flexible, though, the owner said he was flexible.
I hear both of them say they're flexible.
Okay.
That's a
How
matter
much
of interpretation.
flexible, I don't know.
Yeah,
So this,
super glue's flexible.
Is it a maker's mark or a coffee?
so,
Yeah.
so this is a special permit, right?
Yes,
And they had to fill out the criteria?
they did.
Okay.
So another finding of fact is that the representative from Boston Solar said there'd be no additional noise from the array,
Good,
operational noise.
yep. Yeah, I mean, I assume no glare or anything, but we can go into that. So with that said, we may find more finding of facts, but uses in harmony with the general purpose intent of the bylaw, the accessory building will be at the appropriate distance away from the principal building and plot lines of the property. Also, it is not in the front yard at all. So actually, again, here we are, again, with another, this really is considered an accessory building, because that's what they're referring to it. So, it's, and again, it does, it's interesting that they call it an accessory building, they did not show us a setback from the property line. Do they have it here? They do, beautiful, there you go.
Well, it's well within setback.
Yep, it's well within the setback, so there you go. So you may want to note the
Just finding-
setbacks on it.
yeah.
Finding of facts
I will.
is what the setbacks are. See how it all fits together. Uses in the appropriate location, not detrimental to the neighborhood, and does not significantly alter the character of the zoning district. The ground mount will be located within setback requirements and therefore not detrimental in any way with regard to the neighborhood and does not affect the character of the zoning district. Adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the operation of the proposed use. All necessary facilities will be provided within the property itself. No part of the project will extend past those boundaries. Proposed use will not be detrimental or offensive to the adjoining zoning district and neighboring properties due to the effects of lighting, odor, smoke, noise, sewage, refuse material, visual or other nuisances. Proposed residential ground-mounted installation will be clear of any of the above-mentioned nuisances, according to the applicant. The proposed use will not cause undue traffic congestion. The ground mount installation will be within the residential property setbacks and therefore not affect traffic in any way. A proper site plan has been approved with the planning board and the proper number of copies submitted with the application for a special permit to the Board of Appeals. Not applicable in this case. The use is in harmony with the 1992 master plan. Answer is yes. Okay? Okay. So, discussions. I guess our number one discussion is the buffering zone.
Right.
I believe, yeah.
They
there-
actually show a proposed.
Yeah, I
evergreen.
asked him to put that on there today.
Right.
I think there should be a buffering zone. I think it is not the fault of the new owners that the developer did what he did. And as Don pointed out, these people have come to us for a special permit to put a solar array on their property. You know, we don't control fencing by the building department. We don't know if they will require fencing around this.
Right.
But I think the abutters, looking out their back window, they're going to see this.
Do we have to acknowledge anything about the building department's participation in this? at
No,
all?
no,
Okay,
that,
okay.
they'll have their own
Okay,
requirements,
right.
so. But I do think there should be an evergreen screen there,
Right.
because it is pretty open, based on the photos we saw in the sidewalk.
So do we put that on the applicant? Is the onus on the applicant?
That's what we're discussing.
All right.
How do we want to do that? So.
Yeah, there seems to be a 20-foot section that's open, is that accurate?
Yeah, it's about that.
You know, what if we suggested 4 trees, 5 feet apart, 2.5 feet on either side, so that's the 20 feet, some sort of a fast-growing pine tree?
Having looked at it, instead of trying to go with 4, 2 arborvitaes
I mean,
that
two
are,
trees?
that are a minimum of 8 feet high, in 2 years, they'll be 10. And even though deer will eat the bottom of them, they will provide
All right.
some great shelter from that kitchen window.
I wouldn't go with arborvitaes, because
Well,
2 are gonna
okay.
look funny. I'd say go with an evergreen, because you could actually, I would do 4 evergreens, because they're gonna be cheaper, like a Christmas tree type tree. 4 evergreens, which will, the bottoms won't get eaten by the deer, and they'll actually grow up, and then they'll actually make a nice shield, and they'll actually be full.
That's fine, but I guess my concern is that they be, I'd rather see us recommend 2 that are 8 feet or 10 feet than 4 that are 4 feet that won't do a damn thing until 5 or 6 years from now. That's all.
Yeah. An arborvitae 8 feet's gonna be hard, though, and 2 arborvitae's gonna look sort of funny sitting there.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
hung up on arborvitaes.
Okay.
All I'm saying is I'd rather see us go with the height of the trees, the evergreen trees, whatever you select, okay?
Well,
That's fine with me,
yeah.
whatever we select.
Well, we could say an 8-foot, we don't have to say what kind of tree, an 8-foot tree, an 8-foot,
2, 3, 4,
Evergreen.
however you want to do
8-foot
it.
evergreen,
I mean,
at 3-inch
that-
caliper, 4-inch caliper.
Well, that gets expensive, those
It
8
does.
Those
It
8-foot
does.
trees.
They're gonna be very
are
expensive. It's not cheap.
I mean, we're not gonna make everybody happy here. The
No.
trees are gonna eventually grow. I'd rather see 4 trees spread out that will fill in that whole space. It'll take a few years to grow, but it's.
Mike, you need to see it, or see the picture,
Well,
okay?
I mean, we can't-
I'd
we
rather
can't
see,
control-
I'd rather see 2 8-footers, $400 a piece installed, it costs $800, and that way, the new homeowner is protected. If they come to some type of agreement amongst
How
themselves.
about if we tell the owner of the solar array, he has to do 2, and therefore, if the abutter wants to do 2 more, he can add to that, right?
As long as they're 8 feet, I'm
Yeah,
fine.
I just think it'd be a lot to put $800 on one person.
8-foot trees are expensive, though. I mean.
I know, I put 12-footers in.
Yeah,
They're very
They're
expensive.
very expensive. I don't think we can spend his money for them. I think,
Well, we can put a height requirement, we can put a caliper requirement on them.
Mhm.
We can do that. We can't put a cost on it. They
We
go-
can do what we didn't do, guys, in Boardman, when they ripped down all that stuff for the affordable housing units, and the guy didn't pull the permit, and then we let him put a bunch of little 3-inch caliper trees. Joe knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Where is this?
On Boardman, it just is something that passed this board, okay? It was before I got on board. It's one of the reasons I got on the board. All right.
Before my time. It
Yeah,
didn't.
I'm sure it was before all of your times.
the abutters.
Bob Luciano was chairman then, I think.
One of the abutters said that there were, I don't know, they're not evergreens, but the Christmas tree type of trees.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. an
That was
evergreen.
there before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
that's why
think-
I'm not trying to make this complicated. I just want to kind of replace what was there before. They seem to like what was there before.
I think there was pines there, but a pine is not gonna work at this level
Not the
now.
big tall pines,
Yeah.
the.
I mean, they could put a pine tree there, too. You could
Yeah,
do pine
those go-
trees.
I think
Those go
pines are
fast.
fine.
Because by the time the pines grow, it'll be 20 years.
As long as we set a height standard of 8 foot, you can put anything you want.
I think 8 feet, those are big trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sure are. They're a little bit
It is-
taller than
it
you,
is-
Mike,
It is
okay?
pretty open. It
It's
is
pretty open.
They-
Can
and
you
their-
put
and
that
happens to
picture
be
back
their
up
bay
so Mike
window
can see it?
Is right there. They look right at the solar array. They do look right at it. I mean, that's the only bad part. If it was off to one side, I would say, but it does look right at it.
What does two 8-foot trees do? Does it block it?
I like 4
They-
trees better than 2.
If they had built a new garage in the same spot they're building this array, would we want them to have to pay for blocking out that garage?
No, but a garage is different.
Different than just this?
Because a solar array is not a garage. It's still, that's much different looking.
Yeah, but from the side view, it's just
Still, it's a building, it's not this,
Yeah. Alright, well,
a
sounds-
grid.
Didn't he say he had some trees on the property you could transplant?
They're about this high, Mike.
Yeah.
All right.
And they wouldn't take very well.
I would like to discuss, in my opinion, I don't think that if a developer comes on someone's property cuts trees and the owner wants to put the solar array in on his property, he shouldn't have to replace the trees that was cut from.
Where are these trees supposed to be planted, on the applicant's property?
Yeah, oh yeah, they'd be on the applicant.
But-
The problem with that, Devin, is we don't, all this is hearsay.
Right.
We have no knowledge of it, no formal complaint was filed with the building inspector. Was something done? Absolutely, you can tell. Somebody did something and violated what was on the plan. Problem is, we don't know who did it, we don't know when it was done, and we can't go back and blame anybody. We have no authority over that.
Devin,
They've
there's
sold the
nothing,
lots.
if we condition it this way, and there is some financial hardship on the part of the owner or the applicant, all right, then there's nothing to prevent that applicant from going back to the developer of 13 or Brighty and going to small claims court.
I
Okay.
think based off what Chris said, that makes sense to me. You know, that there was no formal documentation.
Yeah. If they had
There-
filed with
there's
the building
no-
inspector, which is what they should have done, they should have immediately, I mean, the fact that he says their driveway's on his property, this is crazy. But we can't control that. I mean, it really is crazy when you think about it. I mean, it could cause real problems amongst neighbors
Yeah.
down the road.
Yeah, and we have neighbors who seem to want to get along here.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to
Within
have
reason.
an appropriate addition to the foliage between the house.
There you go.
Right.
Something,
And let's take a look at that picture right there. If you take a look at this little area
Four
here.
6-foot trees.
to me,
Getting
just,
better.
to be honest with you,
Don,
I just
I-
want to point
Tell
something
you,
out.
two
okay?
evergreens in
The
there.
kitchen window for this house that these people just closed on, okay, is right behind this branch of this
Yeah.
little tiny thing right here, okay? This is all terrific deciduous trees, but in the wintertime, okay, there's no coverage here.
Barren.
It's not a big distance here, it's only about 18 feet.
Yeah.
All right, so we're not talking about big distance, but we are talking about a ground level down here, okay, which is where this buffer zone is. So this buffer zone is not up here, it's down here. And to put something in the applicant's, on the applicant's property, excuse me, if we put something in the applicant's property here, it's gotta be at least high enough to provide something in the next few years. Little 4-foot trees aren't gonna do anything.
I'm talking about 6-foot trees.
So what, a 6-foot tree will still be well, but it's gonna be about this high. You have to understand that there's a depression down here, Mike, all right? So what I'm saying is, even if it's one 8-foot tree or one 10-foot tree, it's gonna provide more protection than having a bunch of little ones. I mean, these people could sell a house and move in 5 years and still see that solar array for 5 years. And I think it's our obligation to ensure that there's some mitigation for that.
I'm not a tree expert, can,
the guy wanted
You
to
a
park
tree
10
expert?
dump trucks back there.
I'm not
You could do that
gonna
too,
give my
right?
opinion on what type of tree should
yeah,
be.
I don't know.
I would say,
I don't know, that's a good
If
question.
the applicant wanted to park 10 dump trucks back there, would he be allowed to
No,
do
he can
that?
only, no, he can
No,
only put,
no,
only
no.
put, how many on the property? One?
there's a couple different
Right, but there's
requirements
so many
to it.
things that could be an obstruction to
Yeah.
something. I mean,
Yeah.
I just think that
You
we
can
have
have
to.
one unregistered car.
All right.
Yeah, it's a solar array. Remember, and also remember, this is the first one coming before us.
Yes.
There could be more.
Yeah.
So I think to Don's point, we gotta be very
Yeah.
careful as to what we say, oh, we're not gonna worry about that. We have to
Well, I'm
worry
not saying
about
I'm worried
these
about it, I
things.
just think that,
Yeah.
but to tell people you have to spend $1,000 on trees is like,
No, I'm not
Concern.
suggesting they spend $1,000 on trees.
yeah, and then to say that they
I-
go to court and try to find the developer is
I'm-
also a challenge.
Well,
Who in the building department got some knowledge? How about Bob McGee? Can we say to Bob McGee, give us some suggestions to, he knows all about screening and trees, can we?
Well, trees are, again, it's caliper tree,
Mm-hmm.
because they tell you a smaller caliper tree will grow faster than a larger caliper tree, believe it or not. So that's why they tend to shy away from getting
That's
the
what they
larger
say.
caliper trees.
that's what they say.
That's what they
I
say.
don't believe it.
I remember Mr. Treen. Did you know Treen from Walpole?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not the fact.
I would say, I would go with 4 6-foot evergreen type trees.
Okay.
4 6-foot evergreen type trees. I think it's a balance. They're gonna grow a foot a year. They're gonna get up there. It may take a year or two, but these people, at least when they look out and go sit in their backyard, remember, their concern is sitting in their backyard. They don't wanna be looking at a solar array. If they're sitting in the backyard, a 6-foot tree is gonna give them a good blockage. it's better than what they have right now.
So we're not mentioning the caliber of an evergreen, obviously.
I would say a 6-foot.
Yeah, but it's a height thing,
I would say 3-inch minimum
in terms of
caliber,
caliber, okay.
yeah.
Could
is
you,
what we use in
could
our-
you grant me 6 to 7?
Hmm?
Could you
No.
just grant me
6.
6 to 7? Well, 6 is too arbitrary. They don't sell trees that way. They
Six-
sell them.
I have no problem with 6 to 7.
There we go, okay.
4, 6
4,
to
6 to
7 foot
7.
trees would be what I would say.
And you're gonna go there and check on the
Evergreen
installation.
type tree.
Bet I am.
Evergreen type.
Yeah, an evergreen type
Because this
tree.
is the
6 to
precedent
7
we're
foot.
setting.
6 to 7 foot,
Minimum.
minimum. 6 to 7 foot minimum, 3-inch minimum
Do you want
caliber
to come
tree.
back with 8?
Yeah, yeah.
What would that cost approximately?
All depends what they go with. They could, if they go with arborvitae, it's gonna be different. If they go with pines, it's gonna be cheaper.
Yeah,
If they go with the white pine, it's gonna be cheap,
Yeah, right.
so,
I think the white pines are fine for there.
yeah.
It's the
And then we'll-
it's the installation cost.
Yeah.
It's the trees themselves, 6 foot.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking $80, $120.
And hopefully, hopefully, what, you might be able to talk to the abutter.
Installation
and the
costs
two
is
might
twice
be
the
able to
cost
come
of
to a
tree.
reasonable, agreement on who will, helping out each other. Okay?
Say it?
Hopefully, the neighbors will get together, and maybe between them, they can
Right.
help with the cost, but I think we have to condition it,
Yeah, the condition is that this needs to appear in that spot.
yes.
Okay, got
So,
it. Is that
or-
our main condition? That's the only condition we have?
that's the only condition we're gonna have on this, it meets all the other
Okay,
requirements for an accessory building.
okay. Got
Okay.
it.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion to approve the special permit for 15 Bridie Lane for the solar array?
Yes, so moved, exactly.
Second,
Second.
okay. Motion to grant,
Yes to grant.
Just the grant.
Yes to grant?
Yes to grant.
yes to grant with the conditions. Okay, thank you very much. All right.
I make a motion
Sweet decision there.
that we adjourn.
15 Bridie Lane, we got 39,
Gonna
we
be in
got,
Vermont
great,
all
we've
next
done
year.
our, we don't have the 7:31 minutes, right, Amy?
No.
Okay, so could I get a motion to close the zoning board of appeals meeting at 8:48 PM?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, good night.
Yeah.